There comes a moment in every man's life when he looks in the mirror and realizes he no longer recognizes the person staring back. The eyes look the same, the face looks familiar, but the soul, it feels distant, quiet, almost like it's been hiding for years. And that's when you begin to ask yourself the hardest question of all. Who am I really? We live in a world that constantly tells us who we should be. Be successful. Be likable. Be productive. Be better. But nobody tells you how to be yourself. Somewhere between trying to make people proud and trying not to disappoint anyone, we lose sight of our own truth. We become actors in a movie we didn't write, reading lines we didn't choose, playing roles that don't belong to us. And then one day, the performance ends. The applause fades. And what's left is silence. The kind that makes you wonder, have I been living my life? Or just performing it? Australian nurse Bronnie Ware once spent years talking to patients in their final days. She asked them what they regretted most in life. And do you know what almost all of them said? I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. That's it. Not I wish I made more money. Not I wish I had worked harder. But I wish I had been myself. It's heartbreaking, isn't it? Because most of us are doing the exact same thing right now. Living lives built on expectations, not intentions. We wake up, follow routines, chase goals that don't even belong to us. And at some point, we stop hearing our own voice. So how do you return? How do you find your way back to who you truly are? Because these. It begins with one simple, painful truth. You have to stop lying to yourself. Stop pretending that you're fine when you're not. Stop saying you're happy with the job you hate, the relationship that drains you, the habits that destroy you. Because every time you lie to yourself, you bury your real self deeper, under layers of fear, shame, and comfort. You can't return to yourself until you face the parts of you you've been running from. The anger, the regret, the guilt, the dreams you killed before they even had a chance to live. When you face them, when you finally stop running, you begin to remember who you are. Michel de Montaigne once said, "The skilled archer must first know what target he intends to hit." If you don't know who you want to become, you'll spend your life shooting arrows into the dark. That's what most people do. They work hard. They stay busy. They chase one thing after another, but never stop to ask why. You can't hit your target if you don't know what the bullseye is. You can't live as yourself if you don't know who that self is. So here's a truth few people will tell you. You don't need a better plan. You need a clearer purpose. When you know why you exist, every decision becomes easier. Every no becomes powerful. Every yes becomes meaningful. That's how you find your way back. By choosing a life that's aligned with your core, not one that's approved by others. Les Brown once said, "One can have no smaller or greater mastery than mastery over oneself." You want to be happy? You want to feel free? Then learn to master yourself. Discipline is freedom. Honesty is liberation. And self-awareness is the path home. Stop waiting to feel ready. The world is full of people waiting to feel like it. But those who change their lives, they act first and the feeling follows. The moment you stop making excuses, you take the first step back to who you really are. Listen, you were not born to fit in. You were born to become. You are not a copy. You are not someone's reflection, not a version of who the world says you should be. You are the original, unrepeatable, irreplaceable, unapologetically you. Every scar, every failure, every dream. It's all a part of the masterpiece that is you. But here's the catch. The longer you pretend to be someone else, the harder it becomes to find yourself again. So stop comparing your journey, stop living for validation, and start listening, not to the noise of the world, but to the quiet voice within you, because deep inside, you already know the truth. You just need the courage to live it. When the noise fades, when the world stops demanding, when it's just you and the mirror, what will you see? A reflection shaped by fear, or a soul reborn in truth? Every day you have a choice to keep pretending or to finally return to the person you were always meant to be. Because at the end of it all, it won't matter what people thought of you. It won't matter what you owned or how many people applauded your performance. What will matter is whether you were brave enough to live as yourself. Returning to yourself isn't a moment of magic. It's not a switch that flips one morning and suddenly you feel like you again. It's a process, a rebuilding, a daily decision to walk away from everything that isn't you and walk toward everything that is. And that's the hardest part. Because the truth is, most people don't really want to change. They want to feel better while staying the same. But you can't have both. Growth hurts. Transformation demands sacrifice. And becoming yourself means letting go of the version of you that made everyone else comfortable. Let me tell you something. There will be people who don't understand your journey. They will call you selfish when you finally set boundaries. They will call you arrogant when you start believing in yourself. They will call you lost when you walk away from the crowd. But that's the price of being found. You can't build a new life with the same mindset that built your old one. If you want to change your reality, you must first challenge your identity. Ask yourself, who told me I'm not enough? Who convinced me that my dreams are too big, my heart too much, my truth too inconvenient? Because whoever they were wrong. And it's time you stopped living by their story. Lise Brown once said, "If there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm." That line changed my life. Because the real battle isn't out there. It's in here. Inside your mind. It's between the voice that says, "I can't," and the one that whispers, "Maybe I can." The world doesn't destroy you, your doubts do. The world doesn't stop you, your fear does. And the only way to silence that fear is through discipline. Self-discipline isn't punishment, it's self-respect. It's the act of saying, "I'm worth showing up for." Even when I'm tired, even when I don't feel like it, even when no one's watching, because that's how you rebuild yourself. Not through grand gestures, but through small, consistent acts of integrity. Every morning you wake up, you're standing at a crossroads. Do you stay the same? Or do you take one step closer to who you could be? That step might look small. Reading instead of scrolling, training instead of sleeping in, speaking truth instead of hiding behind silence. But every small act is a brick. And every brick builds the home you return to. Your true self. Don't wait for clarity. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start with what you have. Start with who you are. And build from there. Because you don't need to have it all figured out to move forward. You just need the courage to begin. Here's something most people don't realize. You can't become your best self while still clinging to your past self. That version of you, the one built on fear, validation, and comfort, has to die for the real you to live. And yes, that feels like loss. because it is. But in that loss, you'll find something beautiful. Freedom. Freedom from pretending. Freedom from approval. Freedom from the heavy armor of fitting in. And that's when you finally breathe again. Not the shallow breath of survival, but the deep breath of truth. To rebuild yourself, you have to choose yourself. Every single day. When the world tells you who to be, you whisper back, "No, this is who I am." When they doubt you, you move anyway. When they laugh, you keep building. When you fail, you rise. Because being yourself isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest. And honesty is stronger than perfection will ever be. Remember this. You were born with something the world cannot take away. Your essence. The pure, unfiltered truth of who you are. Life may have buried it under disappointment, heartbreak, and expectation. But it's still there. Waiting. You don't have to search the world to find yourself. You just have to stop running from yourself. Stop numbing your pain with distraction. Stop chasing approval like oxygen. Stop saying yes when your soul screams no. The moment you start honoring your truth, you start coming home. Tupac once said, "The only reason I got here is because I could look at my own face and find my soul." That's what returning to yourself is all about. It's not self-help, it's self-acceptance. It's looking at your reflection, the scars, the mistakes, the failures, and saying, "I'm still worthy, I'm still growing, I'm still me." And in that moment, you stop being a stranger to your own life. You become its author again. So if you've lost yourself along the way, don't despair. You can rebuild. Brick by brick. Choice by choice. Truth by truth. Because the person you used to be was never the problem. The problem was forgetting that you had power. And that power is waiting for you right now. In every honest word, every act of discipline, every moment you choose to rise instead of run, you are not broken. You are becoming. And the journey home to yourself is the greatest journey you will ever take. Don't let your life end with the regret of not being who you truly were. Live full, die empty. Give every part of yourself to this world. The truth. The pain, the beauty, the realness. Because at the end of it all, the only legacy that matters is that you were authentically you. There comes a point in your life and when pretending becomes heavier than pain. When wearing the mask costs more than the truth. When silence feels like a slow death. And honesty becomes the only way to breathe again. That's the moment you stop existing and start living. Because to live as yourself, to truly live, is to die to everything you're not. And that death is where your rebirth begins. You've been taught to hide, to shrink yourself to fit in, to speak softly so no one feels uncomfortable, to smile when you're breaking inside. But you're not here to be small. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be real, and real isn't always pretty. Real bleeds, real hurts, real fails and stands back up again. The world doesn't need another imitation. It needs your truth, raw, unfiltered, unapologetic. Because somewhere out there, someone is waiting for your story to remind them they're not alone. Do you know what it means to be reborn? It's not about changing who you are. It's about remembering who you've always been. That child who used to dream without fear. That teenager who believed anything was possible. That spark before the world told you to tone it down, to be realistic, to grow up. You haven't lost that person. You've just buried them under years of noise. Noise from other people's opinions. Noise from your own self-doubt. Noise from the constant chase for approval. But if you listen closely, beneath all that noise, there's still a heartbeat, and it's calling you home. Rebirth begins when you make peace with your past. You can't rewrite it, you can't erase it, but you can own it. Your past doesn't define you, it refines you. It's not a prison, it's a classroom. Every failure taught you strength. Every heartbreak taught you depth. Every loss carved space for growth. So instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What did this awaken in me?" Pain isn't your enemy. It's the fire that forges the real you. And when you rise from that fire, you'll notice something. You no longer crave the things you used to chase. You no longer beg for people to see you. Because now you see yourself. That's the moment you stop needing validation. You stop apologizing for who you are. And you start living in alignment. Your thoughts, your words, your actions, finally moving in the same direction. That's peace. That's power. That's what it means to return to yourself. It won't be easy. Some people will leave. Some doors will close. Some parts of you will have to die. But don't mistake that for loss. It's transformation. Just like a seed must break to grow, you too must crack open to become who you're meant to be. Every breakdown is a breakthrough in disguise. Every ending is just a new beginning in a language only your soul can understand. So stop running from the breaking. Let it break you open. Not to destroy you, but to set you free. You want to know what real strength looks like? It's not perfection. It's not pretending everything's okay. Real strength is standing in your truth when it's shaking your bones. It's choosing authenticity over acceptance. It's walking away from comfort to walk toward purpose. And when you do, you'll find something incredible. You'll stop needing the world to understand you because you'll finally understand yourself. You'll stop chasing love because you'll realize it's been inside you all along. And that's when you'll truly start living. Not as a copy, not as a mask, but as the masterpiece you were born to be. Every day you wake up is a chance to begin again. You don't have to stay trapped in the old version of yourself. You can choose rebirth. Today, right now, breathe. Forgive yourself. Speak truth. Take the next step. You don't need to know the whole path. You just need to trust the direction. Because the moment you start living from your truth, the universe moves with you. Doors open. People align. Peace returns. Maybe you've spent years pretending. Maybe you've spent decades asleep. But now you've remembered. You are not lost. You were never broken. You are the fire, the storm, the calm after it all. You are both the wound and the healing. You are the question and the answer. You are the beginning and the return. So live. Live wide open. Live without apology. Live as yourself, fully, freely, fearlessly, because the world doesn't need another version of someone else. It needs you.